That's odd. Normally, the rotation in my episodes has an anime this week. Huh. Oh well, it's not like I'm trying to keep myself strictly to a schedule anyway. So long as everyone is enjoying watching these episodes, that's all that really matters. Okay, well, what's the next for me to cover then? Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and welcome back to Fascinating Fiction. If you were a fan of Nickelodeon back in the 90s, then you've got at least a passing familiarity of a show called Angry Beavers, created by Mike Shower. One of the more oddball shows that Nick was known for back in the day, it was focused on the lives of two cartoon beavers. Daggett, voiced by Richard Horvitz, who you might recognize as Alpha 5, Billy, Invader Zim, and Moxie, and Norbert, voiced by Nicholas Barquet, known for such roles as Salem, and Salem. It was an interesting show, harkening back to cartoons like Flintstones, Rocky and Bullwinkle, and the Pink Panther, where the characters were free to go and do zany, off-the-wall things about every single episode, without it actually being something that mattered in the overall story of things, what little there was at the time. But what if I told you that some of the most interesting things about the show wasn't the show itself, but actually about its creator and the actual trials the show faced while it was on the air, including its lost final episode? There are some things that you wouldn't really believe until you've actually looked into things and find out they're true. So, to start things off, let's talk about Mr. Shower and his history. Having been born back in the 1950s, Shower has had a long-standing hand in many of the animated TV shows, movies, and shorts that have been seen over the years. Getting his start as a storyboard artist for Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids of all things, he has since been part of some of the more well-known cartoons over the decades in some way, shape, or form, usually as a storyboard artist, a director, or a design supervisor. This includes shows like The Smurfs, Pink Panther, The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, My Little Pony, Garfield and Friends, and even fellow Nicktoons like Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy. He's even still going to this day, with one of his most recent shows he's worked on being The Loud House. But when it comes to actually creating his own original work for public television, it was Angry Beavers that actually took center stage, apparently being offered a pitch to Nickelodeon while he was working on, get this, the cartoon Cowboys of Moo Mesa. I wasn't kidding when I said this guy has worked on or been involved with a bunch of cartoons over the years, even the ones that didn't turn out so great. But even with that offer and the eventual release of the cartoon itself, Angry Beavers wasn't without its issues. There was the fact that this show was released during the heyday of the Rugrats, one of the most popular and influential Nickelodeon cartoons of all time. It was because of this that many people think the show didn't get the popularity it deserved because of that. But that wasn't the biggest problem with the show. Oh no. That would come with the censorship. Now, you wouldn't think that a slapsticky, silly show like The Angry Beavers would cause any problems, but, well, it actually did. The first real stumbling block came from the fact that the original version of one episode, Norbert, ended up saying "shut up" to one of the other characters. This actually caused some parents to get upset, and Nickelodeon, in all of their infinite wisdom, ended up actually bleeping it out, then leading all the parents to believe that the character was actually swearing on a cartoon TV show made for kids. This continued throughout the entire show, where things like when Daggett was being chased around by his brother with an axe, having to be made to look fake, or Blimp landing on the audience had to bounce around instead of squishing them, were added in to make things appear more kid-friendly. Despite things like Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy having much more adult content and being much more violent just a few years before the Beavers came to air. It got to the point where the creators even put a character by the name of Kid Friendly into one of the episodes as a way to shoot back at Nickelodeon. It was the lost finale of the show, however, that truly ended things for Norbert, Daggett, and Shower's work with Nickelodeon at the time. Entitled Bye Bye Beavers, this episode had both of the now well-known cartoon characters getting a letter in the mail telling them that their show had been cancelled. At the time, this was a big negative for Nickelodeon, since most, if not all of their shows in that era of animation were designed to be constantly reran. Since the cartoons weren't designed to tell a full story or have a major plot, it was the plan to allow these shows to be aired again and again on television and never let the children themselves know that the show itself was over. Bye Bye Beavers not only told kids this, but they went on to do rather amazing things, such as the actors talking to each other during the actual episode itself and calling each other by their real names, but also saying things like the word that got bleeped out earlier in the series. It was the way for the cast and crew to essentially give the big middle finger to the network itself that had, at that point, not really wanted them around anymore. Needless to say, Nickelodeon was not happy about this, and they officially canned the episode and the series when they found out. But you can actually still find the audio for this episode online, as it was recorded and then eventually shared by Richard Horvitz when he guest starred on a podcast a couple of years back. Not only is this a hilarious little bit of animation history, something we rarely get to see outside of a show once it's over, but many consider it to be one of the greatest deconstructions of cartoons ever put to record. And needless to say, this is one of my favorite lines from the entire bit, if only because it shows how people feel about the bigger networks at times.
Norby, what happens when you're over?
Oh, it's not so bad.
No?
If a cartoon's good, even if it isn't, it's rerun incarnated.
Ooh, does that hurt?
No.
Oh.
Only when you get the later checks. The cartoon being over guys rerun it over and over, and they make lots of well-deserved money.
Which they share with the people who made the cartoon, right?
Woo! Right. So you see, it's all for the better.
Right.
Even though we're vanishing, we'll be back over and over again at virtually no cost to the network.
As of today, Angry Beavers has actually fared a little better than a lot of cartoons of its time and later eras, with the entire series actually being available on DVD, barring those lost episodes, and there being a fond memories for those who grew up with it and created it. The creator himself is still around and working on different things, including his own original graphic novel right now called Rip MD, about a kid who becomes a doctor for monsters. An interesting idea to say the very least. Few other series often do what this show has done, willing to go beyond the restraints placed on them by the network to go and tell the audience watching them the truth. They knew their show was going to end, and they wanted to go out with a bang. And while Nickelodeon never allowed them to actually get the finale of their show to air, we'll always have the audio of Daggett and Norbert chewing out the people who decided to end their cartoon. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go find the script that I originally intended to have this week. It's weird. I always have to have a block of 4, movie, video game, cartoon, and anime. And anime was supposed to be this week. So where is the anime script? Wait a minute. What's that sound?